Museum of Chinese in America, designed by architect Maya Lin, is built around a skylit brick-walled atrium, meant to evoke the central courtyards of old buildings in China. Another room recreates a traditional Chinese apothecary, the kind found in Chinatowns the world over. But the lead exhibit tells a story little known either abroad or in the U.S., where just 1% of the population is of Chinese ancestry. In the 1700s, a handful of Chinese sailors on trading ships were the first Chinese visitors to America. But in the 1840s, a flood of Chinese laborers arrived to help build the cross-country railroad, starting from California. Museum director S. Alice Mong.
We all know about the Chinese building the railway from the West Coast, the European workers, mostly Irish, building the railway from the East Coast and meeting in Promontory Point, Utah. But even before that, the Chinese were coming here to mine.
Those Chinese immigrants came as part of the gold rush, when prospectors found gold in the hills and streams of the western U.S. and Canada. When the gold rush was over and the railway built, the laborers were no longer welcome. The Chinese Exclusion Act of 1882 was the only U.S. law ever to block immigration and naturalization on the basis of national origin.
There was an economic recession in the United States, and the Chinese were asked to go home. You've helped us build the railways, now go home. And unfortunately, many of these workers, there was no home to go to. And they also could not bring their family because they were not citizens. So that's kind of the genesis of Chinatown throughout the United States.
Chinese immigrants could not blend in gradually, as the Irish and Italian immigrants began to do. There were few ways to make a living.
Laundry and restaurants.
Men who didn't want to work as house servants often founded laundries. It was hard, dirty work. The museum displays a typical iron for pressing wrinkles out of clothes, nearly 4 kilograms, lifted hundreds of times a day. Chinese restaurants, some with real Chinese food, and others with American versions for tourists, were the other main path to independence. Popular culture portrayed Asians as mysterious, sneaky, and possibly dangerous, or as comical. Hollywood's racial codes forbid Anna May Wong, the first Chinese-American movie star, from kissing a white actor.
She died a broken woman because she really never found acceptance by America, her home.
Laws against immigration and mixed marriages began to ease during World War II, until the advent of communism in China in 1949 led to new suspicions of Chinese Americans. Since the 1960s, however, Chinese Americans have become prominent in every field.
People like Yo-Yo Ma, I.M. Pei, Vera Wang, designer, Anna Sui, again, designer. So we're seeing these Chinese Americans really making great strides.
Visitors like 14-year-old Mache Buko of Florida say the museum reveals an unfamiliar history.
Most children know about the African American segregation and the Jim Crow laws, but no one really hears about Chinese American segregation or any of the propaganda that was against them, or how they weren't allowed to come to this country in one point because people were against them working.
Director Mong says the museum now aims to become the National Museum of Chinese in America, and to draw visitors from around the U.S. and abroad. Carolyn Weaver, VOA News, New York.